figured out and determined, ecological pathway that is ingrained within every single one of our brains. 90% of what you thought about today is the same thoughts that you had yesterday. Now multiply that by 15 years, by 30 years, by 40, 50. You understand how people get crippled and they get stuck in the same repeating mindset or the same degenerative health process. Understand? Now everything has to do with health because we need to transcend a higher health in our community and in our individual basis. So how does that relate to our health? Every single one of us knows people that are always the victim for their own health and their job and their life and their careers. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with being there, because I do believe that all of us have periods of that in our life. You know, someone asked me once, they're like, Doc, do you ever just have a bad day? And I, of course, said, no, I don't ever have a bad day, right? But of course I do. I have bad days all the time. But when I have a bad day, I have a different process that I work through to make sure that the following day, I'm not having a second bad day in a row. And this technique has changed my life, and it'll change your life. I've been asking people, or telling them every day, or all day long, 90% of your thoughts today are the same as yesterday. One person said no. Everyone else was like, huh, yeah, I think you're right. One person said no, and I said, no, let's stay with this. You could be right. Maybe not, but maybe you're right. And he said, today, Doc, I had a huge day. I was thinking and having meetings about stuff that I had no idea were happening and going on in my community. And he said, today was a different thought process. And I said, well, tomorrow, 90% of your thoughts tomorrow are going to be these new thoughts that you created today. Yeah. And he said, yeah, you could be right. So the cycle will catch up with you and will repeat itself. The challenge is that if you're stuck in a negative, degenerative thought process, you have to do something different, and you need a pattern interrupt or someone to grab you and shake you and say, wake up! You're in a downward spiral, dude. And if we don't crawl out of this hole, it's not going to end pretty. But it doesn't always need to be the wake up. Because how many times have I met someone? I met thousands of people in this community. I've had the opportunity and been blessed to work on thousands of patients in this community. How many times have I had someone come to me and say, Doc, I've tried everything and I don't know what else to do. Or they come to me and they say, I made a decision after I had my heart attack that I needed to do something different. Or when I lost my wife, everything changed. I decided that I needed to do something different. For every person who says that to me, I know that there's equally as many people that are not saying that to me that are still stuck in that repeat cycle over and over and over again. Understand where I'm going with this? You don't have to wait for the tragedy. You don't have to wait to lose a family member. You don't have to wait for the heart attack to show up. You don't have to wait to get fired to wake up. Okay? But if you don't consider the reality that 90% of the thoughts you have today are the same thoughts you had yesterday, you'll never be able to transcend and escalate your level of thinking, well-being, health, or relationships any higher. Okay? Now, if you want to make a change for yourself, your vision better be as big as your family. Agreed? We have to think bigger. We have to think bigger for our health. We have to think bigger for our careers. We have to think that we can earn more money so that we can serve more people, and we can give more money back so that we can buy a safer vehicle. Okay? We have to think bigger for ourselves in our career. If we start at the bottom, we need to think that someday we'll be the owner of the business. Okay? We have to think bigger, and I'm going to push you to think bigger in every aspect of your life. I just need you to start thinking bigger for your health. Because generally when we show up here, we're showing up with low to no expectations. We've tried everything, and my crazy neighbor who reads astrology signs and numerology told me to try chiropractic. It's just true. I get it. And I need to just shoot you straight. And we need to meet each other where we're at. Okay? So We need to think bigger. If we want something bigger for ourselves, we have to think bigger for our family. It just goes up the totem pole. If we want something bigger or better for our family, we have to think of something better and bigger for our community. Right? I want to be really healthy, but I know that I can only be as healthy as my family is, so I have to focus on my family. But now, I don't only want my family to be healthy, I want Ben to be healthy. Okay? So now we're moving into a bigger space because the message is bigger. The goals are bigger, the thinking is bigger. Now, I don't only want to serve Central Oregon and Bend. We have patients in Prineville. We have patients in Sisters. We have patients in Sun River. We have to help the whole county. And if we want to help the whole county, then we have to think bigger for the state. I'm dead serious. Okay? There has to be a solution from a state level. And we know there's an opioid crisis right now. We know that 76,000 people died last year from opioids. That's not a state issue, that's a nation issue. So now we have to think big enough for our country. And we know that we have something that can help, and we can change the paradigm in the thought process. But all of a sudden, it's not a family issue anymore. It's a nation issue. And I'm not the only one telling you there's a problem right now with healthcare. And if we want to change the way that our country's thinking, we have to think globally. Dr. Ashley and I, we say we have to be global. We have to think global and bring the message local. Same thing with farming. Same thing with healthcare. Same thing with our jobs. We have to think like that, or we're going to be stuck in the everyday 90%, 90%, 90%. And my favorite, if we want to change the world, we have to think above the world. Which means if you don't believe that there's anything bigger than this planet, we can't change the world. It doesn't matter if you believe in God, which I do, or if you believe in universal intelligence, that there is order in all things, or if you believe in reincarnation. It doesn't matter. It just means that if you think that we can change the world, we have to think on what governs the world. And they're the universal laws that are governed probably by a higher power that maybe we can't even fully comprehend. All right? So I have so much that I want to share with you that I have to open up my heart and really just let it all out. Okay? And when we're thinking about changing the way that we're thinking, we have to think that we might take a couple of arrows. You know what I mean by that? You might have a visionary idea for how to better your company, and your boss goes, that sucks. Pew! And you're like, what the heck, man? No, really, we can grow from this. But if you're going to think like a visionary and you're going to change your thought process on a day-to-day basis, you better be willing to be crucified. And guess who's going to do it? Oftentimes, the people that we love and care and cherish the most. Dr. Andrew, I would love to change the way that I eat. I can't get my husband to eat that way. Okay. I'm talking about you. Okay? That's going to create some turmoil at the dinner time. Okay. If we don't change the way that we're thinking, we are going to think the same way tomorrow. Understand where I'm going with this? Be willing and able to take an arrow for what you believe in, because it's the only way to get to the next level. I'm dead serious with this. You know where I meant when I said crucified. If you're a believer, you know that, that's kind of crazy what they did. Okay? Now, the next thing is, and I got to make sure I wrote this morning for you, is pleasure nor pain can interfere with your purpose. Understand? If you're going to change the way that you're thinking for the betterment of yourself, your family, your community, the world, etc., pain nor pleasure can interfere with your purpose. See where I'm going with this? When you're on point and you're on that frequency and you're growing your business to better your community and yourself and your family and your relationships, you're going to have rejection. Now, when you make a decision today when you're driving home that tomorrow, dang it, I'm thinking differently, I'm waking up and I'm going to have a different thought because I'm tired of being in pain all day, every day. And I'm going to start telling myself something different. And I say, you're going to have to tell yourself that something different every single day and wait for those frequencies and vibrations of your thought patterns to change the way that your body is interpreting that pain. And one day, something's going to change. See where I'm going? It's just one example. And we have to be willing to accept rejection as a friend, not as something that beats us down. Got it? I love using examples for this one, relationships, whatever. Okay? let's just talk relationships, because I have a daughter. Now, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that my daughter gets everything that she needs to live a happy, healthy life and be able to care for herself when she flies the nest, right? And she might come to me one day and she might say some really hurtful things to me that really make me feel like a terrible, crappy dad. Maybe some of you have experienced this before with your kids. I don't know. That's called rejection. That's where someone you loves the most says, you're not cutting it for me, man. You stink. You suck. You were a bad dad. You're blah, 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 blah. Okay? That's called rejection, and that hurts the most. And the minute that we give the rejection the energy that it wants, we've lost. And now that pattern creates the thought waves that are going to create and change the way that I have every single thought for the next however long I let it, until I allow myself to think of it differently. Understand where I'm going with this? I can talk to you about this in my life right here every single day with my patients. When I have patients who come in and say, Doc, I know that we have a plan, I know that we're moving in the right direction, and I love what we're doing, but I got to stop. That's rejection for me. All I want to do is help serve people. But I do know 100% I can't do anything to make your pain go away. I can guide your body. I can help your body transform the way that it's functioning on a day-to-day basis. But I can't do anything to change your thought process. Now, when we talk about rejection, the next time you're rejected, it could be the worst rejection you've ever had in your life, or it could be something really small. I want you to think of that rejection as a gift. Because there's no chance in you know what, that if we think of it as a gift, that we can't overcome that very rapidly and almost deflect that right off of us and not even have it mess with our purpose and our vision for our life. Understand where I'm going with this? I had some ultimate rejections that could have potentially derailed my mission and purpose in life. Mega rejections. And it has taken me a long enough time of doing some very deep work with some different practitioners and some different coaches and really soul searching and meditating with myself to know that when someone rejects me, I say to myself now, dang, that sucked. What can I learn from that? That was a gift, because now I get to be better. And guess what? The likelihood of someone rejecting me in that way again is slim to none if I use it as a gift. Every single time we're rejected, we learn from ourselves. In the world of healthcare, we have a million reasons to not be happy with ourselves. We might be in tons of pain. We might be on tons of medications. We might feel alone. We might be unhappy with the way that we look. And I need you to please understand that you are given the perfect body to fulfill your mission and purpose on this planet. Fact. Some people are really unhappy with their lives, their relationships. I'm talking about health, of course. But you've been given the perfect opportunity to be in a body that will get you exactly where you need to go, as long as we don't focus on that negativity and rejection that we oftentimes let run our lives. Is everyone on the same page with me right now?
Oh, yeah.
So, in healthcare, we get to hear that was like a late night DJ radio voice.
Wait a minute.
There's something really powerful called the late night DJ radio voice. Do you guys know this? You know this?
No, but I can imagine.
I'm going to teach you a trick. Anytime there's a hostile environment or situation or argument, flip into the late night DJ radio voice and start talking to someone like that. And this has been studied. I'm not making this up. Almost instantly, it will take a hostile moment or a hostile conversation, and it will bring it right down to this unique and interesting level of communication, and the whole conversation will take a radical shift in your favor. It's called the late night DJ radio voice. I use it all the time. You guys think I'm joking?
It's rehearsed now. You screwed up everything.
You did it!
Mine was sincere. You gotta explain it.
Next time your wife's yelling at you, just flip on that voice. Maybe it's done. I guarantee it.
Now I'm going to get house calls. Thanks.
You should have come without her. Okay. In healthcare, we often hear the word or the phrase from our doctors, this is it. It's incurable. I can think of a million diseases where we hear that every single day. Incurable in Western medicine means one thing for me with innate intelligence within the body. Incurable in that world means curable from within. So if someone tells you that your condition is incurable, you have to look at this and say, thank you for your time. You have limited information or knowledge. I take the information that you gave me, and now I need to turn all that back into myself, and I need to work on curing it from the inside out, not the outside in. It is a very, very real conversation that we all need to be having with ourselves every single day. There's a woman by the name of Louise Hay. She's the owner of Hay House Radio. It's a really cool healing podcast. She writes tons of books. Her book is called The Power of Thoughts and Healing, I think. Just Louise Hay. Or Thoughts Can Heal You. Thoughts Can Heal You is the name of her book. What she writes about in the book is how every single thing that comes through your brain creates a frequency and a pattern. Thoughts are real. We can measure them with technology. Now, you don't need to show me technology to know that for me to believe that something's real, but the fact that we can measure it means that it is clinically doing something to your cellular neurology. It can be very productive, and it also can be very destructive. Understand? So we can measure thought patterns in the body. She completely and entirely healed herself from cervical cancer by doing one thing and one thing only, and that is creating positive meditative thoughts to create healing pathways in her body. Clinically shown. You have a tumor here. We recommend you do this. She said, no, thank you. I'm going to do this. I'm going to look on the inside. Cured herself, went back, gone. She teaches you how to do this, too. You can use this for anything in your life. Okay? The quality of the questions that we ask ourselves and the people around us every single day determine the quality of our health moving forward. If you learn to ask good quality questions about your health or your relationships or whatever it is, you can expect good quality outcomes. So everything is determined based upon the quality of the questions we ask. The person who asks 0 questions gets 0 benefit. Get it? That person can only get what the other person gives them and says is going to be right for them. The more questions you ask, the more solutions you receive. Got it? I love questions. The hard questions, the ones that people ask me, that sometimes I think they want to just see how I handle it. Those are probably the juiciest and best ones. If you ask a doctor a question and they get all sweaty and start beating, I don't know. They're probably making it up or they don't know. If I don't know, I'll tell you, that's a great question. I have no clue. Rest assured, I don't know. We can find a solution for it, but I don't know. The quality of questions you ask determine the quality of your health or the quality of your life. So, if something negative happens to us, or we wake up one day with pain or discomfort or stuck in a bad relationship, rather than saying, well, I guess this is it. Every day for the rest of my life, I got to live like this. That's what they told me, doc. I have to stay on this medication for the rest of my life because there's nothing that can be done any other way, or I need this surgery. And I'm not telling you that's all bad, and you might not need that for a temporarily crutch, but I'm telling you that mindset will create problems. Rather than saying, okay, why is this happening? What are my options? Which one resonates with me? I do this all day long. If I have someone who's upset with me or upset with themselves, I just pause and I say, why is this happening? What's going on? What can we bring to the table to get a solution? And if the cabinetry doesn't fit, we need a new cabinet. Right? Right, Dan?
Oh, yeah.
But how do we know until we get in there and start looking for different questions and forming different solutions? It's very powerful. So amidst adversity, we get to open up and ask different questions. And every time there becomes a fork in the road, if you don't get anything from this, know that forks in the road are good. They present opportunity to grow. Okay? We've all been to that point where we go, that way's familiar and that way's lighted, and I know where that one's going to take me, but this one, holy smokes, I don't know what the heck is waiting for me down that path. I'm not telling you to be radical and jump into things that don't make you feel good, but I'm asking you, if you think about your process of what's affecting your life differently and are willing to take a step to look in a different direction, you will find oodles and oodles of solutions waiting for you right before your very eyes. Okay? There's a famous study that was done. When we wrap this up, we'll come back full circle. There's a famous study that was done. They took 90 clinically diagnosed depressed people. 90. Okay? They split them in 3 groups. Double-blind, peer-reviewed study. For those of you who know science, that's gold standard. I don't know that it's the answer to all of our problems, but it's gold standard in scientific research in the healthcare community. Double-blind study. So nobody knows what group they're in. Got it? They take a third of them and they put them over here and they give them a placebo pill, a sugar pill. And they say, this is your medication. Here you go. Take it. And they watched them. Then they took another third over here and they put them on antidepressant drugs. Okay? And they were smart. They stopped there before they introduced the third group. Because they wanted to know, did the placebo group perform as well as the medication group? They found almost identical results. Understand where I'm going with this? These people thought they were getting the antidepressant drug. They were getting a pill full of sugar, and a huge percentage of them got better. That's not very good for the big pharma group. Understand? When you give someone something and you tell them it could be one thing that it's not, it changes their perception of what it is, which changes their thought process, which changes their own body's innate healing potential to do whatever it is that they want it to do. Cool. Now we're getting places. This is not the research that Big Pharma wants you to know about. Understand? There's a professor at Harvard University. He took a bottle of $100 red wine. Any wine drinkers in the group?
Yes.
I love red wine. I don't like white wine very much. $100 bottle. Is a $100 bottle of wine expensive? That's like pretty dang good. I can't say I've ever paid $100 for a bottle of wine. I probably never paid more than $28. $100 bottle of wine right here. $2 chuck. You know what $2 chuck is? Trader Joe's. $2.59 for a bottle of red wine. It's terrible, but it gets the job done if you don't have any other options. Right? Switch the labels. Okay?
Perfect.
Asked wine connoisseurs. These are people, you guys know what a sommelier is? Is it like the highest level of wine connoisseur? They went to a convention. They didn't get the top dog sommeliers, but they got people who said, I am a wine connoisseur. And they said, great. Which one do you like better? By a landslide, they liked the $2 chuck more because their perception of what they were drinking radically changed what was going on inside their heads. They took it a step further. I'm not even making this up. You can read about this in the book. They took white wine and they dyed it red. Wine connoisseurs. What do you think about this wine? If you ever want to see something cool, watch SOM, S-O-M, on Netflix. It talks to you about sommelier and how it's one of the most challenging professions to reach that level of in the world. They said, what's the first thing? And they go, well, it's red wine. And they said, taste it. Tasted it. Still red wine. This is white wine, folks. It obviously tastes different. If you ever drank wine, you know the difference between red and white wine. Because it looked red, they almost all, this is red wine. Wrong. It's white wine. It's skewed so that you think it's something different. You understand where I'm going with this? The power of suggestion and thought controls everything. Back to the antidepressant story, because we have to go here now. They had the 2 groups. They had the placebo group. They had the antidepressant group. Basically same results. Then they took a group over here and they put them into a room covered by mirrors on all sides, all aspects of the room covered in mirrors. And they put them in the room and said, start laughing. You got 5 minutes. Don't come out until you're done laughing in 5 minutes. And they monitored them. They made them laugh at themselves in the mirror for like 5 minutes. And if they weren't laughing, they would make them laugh. And they put them on laughter treatment. I'm not making this up. Virtually every single person in the laughter group was not clinically depressed after the study was done. Fascinating. Mind-blowing. It's the power of thought and what that's doing in stimulating the vibrations and frequencies of every single cell in your body. Every single cell in your body is either growing towards health and wellness or it's breaking down towards death. At all aspects of the time. We're never in perfect balance. We strive to be as close to that middle ground as we possibly can, but we want to inch you closer towards the other side. But something's always going to come into your life that's going to derail you, and now we know that rejection has to be used as a gift. That's not easy, but when someone violently rejects you, it's almost to the point where you just have to think, you have to go home, you have to sit down, be quiet, think about it, pray about it, and just go, hey, thanks. I'm going to grow a lot from that. The strongest leaders in the world have been rejected more times than they could ever even explain or you could ever even imagine. And if you want something bigger for yourself, you have to start thinking bigger for your family. Otherwise, you'll never get better yourself, your community, your county, your state, your country, your world, and then whatever else is beyond that. Okay? I start every single day. You showed up just on time. We're just getting ready to start. We're going to have to redo the whole talk for Tina. I start every single day with a card. Mine's on my desk. There's only one thing that I've ever shared with people that has been more effective at helping people get healthy, except for the chiropractic adjustment. I'm not making that up. There's only one thing I've ever shared with my patients that has been more effective at guiding them closer to health than the chiropractic adjustment. If the chiropractic adjustment didn't work, I'd stop doing it. I would have stopped a long time ago. I didn't believe that the chiropractic adjustment was so powerful because I'm a guy. I need to prove it, right? So before I started full practice in the States, my wife and I sold everything and we traveled the world and we did nothing except have fun and adjust as many people around the world as we can. Thousands of people we would adjust. Thousands. And I told myself, if chiropractic doesn't work, God, show me now so that I don't go home and go another $150,000 into debt building a practice. I'm not even making this up. So we sold everything, including our cars and all that. We got a dog sitter for 6 months, and we just took off traveling. I saw more miracles in 6 months than I could have ever imagined, just with chiropractic adjustment. The second thing I've taught people that can change your life more radically is this. It's called GAS. Every morning I wake up on my card, and I write GAS in that order. G stands for gratitude. This is the best way to change your thought process. You write down as many things that you're grateful for in that moment. That way, every single day you wake up, before you look at your cell phone, before you give your husband in his morning breath a kiss, you write down whatever comes to your mind and be like, oh, I'm grateful I slept in 5 minutes longer. I'm grateful because I heard the coffee pot click on. I'm grateful because my baby didn't wake me up last night. I'm grateful for 6 new patients coming in. Whatever. It could be literally anything. I was grateful for good coffee the other day. Man, I had too many cups. Action. A is action. Just write down one thing that you want to achieve for yourself. Don't make it about anyone else. Make it about you. Okay? Because people who serve more and more and more and more, they have to look after themselves first. Otherwise, Mother Teresa, man, she had more people looking after her than anyone else on planet Earth when she was with us. And she looked after herself. She had things that she did so that she could serve. And we should too. And S is a selfless service. Every single day, if you do something, one thing for someone else, you're winning. And it's going to come back to you tenfold. Today, I had a friend who he sent me an email like 6 months ago, and I told him I was going to get back to him. And guess what? I didn't, because I just had 9 million things going on. And I'm like, why couldn't I just reached out to him? So I called him on the way to work. Got his voice message. I said, dude, I'm really sorry. You sent me that email a long time ago. I didn't forget. I'm thinking about you right now. I'm just really grateful that you're in my life. Thanks for reaching out. If you ever need anything, call me. That's it. Or if you really wanted to go all the way, you give someone $1,000 or something. It doesn't matter. It can be something really small. It can be something really big. If you do this every single day, it's impossible for tomorrow's thoughts to be the same ones today, especially if today's thoughts are negative. You start every day with a gratitude. Cool? Just got $1 million tip right there. Amen, everyone.
Thank you.